Hello, everybody. Mike King. Welcome to this Profiling Evil Live. Hi, Nicole, Marie. Thanks for jumping in. I just wanted to take a couple of minutes. There have been some kind of interesting things happening in and around Salida that I thought you might be interested in, and they are not tied to Suzanne, so please don't think this is clickbait, but it is important information. A few days ago, the Saguache County Sheriff's Office in Colorado filed a probable cause statement with the arrest of 7 people who have been charged with abusing a corpse, and they've added 2 counts of child abuse on top of that. Now, the alleged perpetrators are part of a cult that's named the Love Has Won cult. Now, if you look at this map, you can see on here, here's Salida, and the body was discovered down here in Moffat, Colorado. It's about an hour drive to the south. But Salida comes into the picture in a real interesting way. In fact, Corporal Stephen Hansen of the sheriff's office down there was assigned by his sheriff to travel up to Chaffee County and meet a man named Miguel Lamboy at the Salida Police Department. Now, Lamboy was reporting a suspicious death of someone inside of his home and felt more comfortable going into Salida to report that. Lamboy reports that he'd been at his home working, and he returned to his home to find a group of people that he knows occupying his home. Now, this group had moved in. It was unclear why they needed to stay in his house, but they said that they needed to stay there, and he allowed them to. Now, it's kind of starting to look like Lamboy was part of this same Love Has Won cult. And as Lamboy was wandering around in the house, he stumbles across a body. And it's a mummified body, a deceased female that he recognizes as Amy Leah Carlson. Now, Leah is the self-proclaimed leader of the Love Has Won cult. And according to Lamboy, she appeared like she'd been dead for some time. He describes her skin as being gray in color. Her eyes are glazed over, or they're missing altogether. In fact, at one point, he actually says her eyes are missing. Now, Carlson is known by members of this cult as the Mother God. And you can listen to her rants and raves online, and you can watch videos of her and other cult members as they express their method of online preaching. This group was actually highlighted on the Dr. Phil show and has been on countless numbers of other programs. If you do a little surfing on the web, you're going to hear from former members who talk about the abuse and the destructive mind control that they were experiencing while they lived in either the Hawaii or the Colorado confines of this particular group. Now, I found it really interesting as I did a little searching that there was a news report when they were in Hawaii. It was picked up by the Denver News, and I wanted to play that for you for just a minute because it's the Hawaiian residents expressing concern over this group of people. So give me a second here while I open this up, and we'll play this.
Despite trying to call Hawaii home, a Colorado-based organization is back in the Centennial State after they were met with protesters accusing them of being a cult.
Denver 7's Gary Brode talked to 2 of the members of the group who call the whole thing alarming.
Never come back. For leaders of the organization, Love Has Won, aloha only meant goodbye during their Hawaii trip.
That they didn't agree with what we were speaking and felt that we weren't allowed to be there.
Lauren Suarez and Ashley Pelusa are members of the organization Love Has Won, a registered 501c3 nonprofit based out of Crestone. Amy Carlson started the group 5 years ago and decided to take a trip to Hawaii as her health fails.
She's paralyzed up to her chest. Her lungs are going at this point.
Those within the group refer to her as Mom.
To us and to everybody that supports the group, the team, she is Mother God, Mother of all creation, Mother Earth.
It's that belief which created problems while Carlson stayed on the island of Kauai.
What really I feel triggered them was, they have a fire goddess there, which I feel is their version of the divine mother.
Leading local authorities in Hawaii to call the group a cult.
That word has a very negative connotation, and I feel it's used against people in a way just of something they don't understand and maybe just can't accept.
Days leading to the group's departure, locals gathered outside of the house, protesting their presence on the island.
They were telling us that we were invading them and we were somehow trying to destroy their culture when we weren't. The level of violence that it rose to was pretty alarming.
Just broke the window right now with a mouse trap.
Video shows protesters throwing objects at the home the group was renting.
We had just bought her a brand new car, which was the first new car she had had in probably 15 years, and they destroyed the entire vehicle.
A release from Maui PD shows that law enforcement stepped in for the safety of the group who chose to leave the island last Friday. And after some travel issues with travel forms, all 14 members of the group came back to Colorado. Gary Brode, Denver 7.
So there you go. And it just baffles my mind when these people say,
that vote was 5-4.
Why do they call us a cult? It doesn't make sense. And we call them a cult because they're closed societies. They share some ideologies that are really interesting, and it's a cult. Now, it's believed that Lamboy was a member of this religious group, but the thing that I found kind of interesting is his statements actually suggest that he felt he was being held against his will. So I want to just go back and look at a couple of other things here as I finish telling you a little bit more about this group. The cult is well known to the people in Saguache County, and the sheriff's office has reported that it's received a lot of complaints from cult members' families. Now, police went out and they executed a search warrant at the Moffat, Colorado residence. And in there, they discovered this body. Now, after discovering the body, deputies arrested 7 people for abuse of a corpse and, of course, child abuse charges. Now, you might find it interesting to go and look at Lauren Scharf's report on the case. These are the 7 people that were arrested. We're going to learn a lot more about them as things unfold, but I've been doing some digging, and it looks like a lot of them have spent they've had some misspent time in their lives. All 7 were booked into the Rio County Jail in Del Norte, Colorado. And again, if you get a moment, go over and look at Fox 21 News, Lauren Scharf's report on it. I thought she did a great job. I might be doing some stuff with one of her colleagues later, talking about cult mentality on the program. But police were able to recover the remains of this mummified body. And this is what gets kind of interesting. The body was found lying on a bed in this fellow's house. It was wrapped in what appeared to be a sleeping bag. And I'm getting all of this information, by the way, folks, from the police affidavit that was filed as they made these arrests. Now, police noted what appeared to be glitter-type makeup around her eyes. This doesn't really surprise me because if you look at some of the videos, she's into kind of that wild thing. But it's also kind of interesting because I think I can claim this as the only YouTuber doing true crime that actually has investigated deaths with mummies. If you go back and look at my Who Killed King Tut book, or the Emmy Award-winning video I did with Greg Cooper on the Discovery Channel, Who Killed King Tut, or the Assassination of King Tut, the follow-up, we spent a lot of time looking at that kind of thing. Now, this makeup around the eyes is kind of interesting because of the mummified remains, and I wonder if this group did in fact try to mummify Carlson in an attempt to kind of keep her around. In fact, when they found her in the house, she's also decorated with Christmas tree lights around her mummified remains, and it appears to be kind of set up in some kind of a wacky shrine. So police even reported that, it was very visible from other places in the house. So it'll be interesting to see how this unfolds. Now, It's believed that Carlson's body was actually transported to Colorado from a residence in California. And police are inspecting a Nissan Rogue that was found in the driveway. It has California plates on it. They found in the vehicle that the back seats were laid down, consistent with the transportation of a body, if in fact that's what happened. So I'm sure forensics will discover that. Now, you all know I've been studying cults and cult behavior for more than 30 years. Destructive cults like this flat out destroy people and they destroy families. And folks can say how delightful it is inside of there, but if it is cutting people off from family and their support system, if it's changing the way in which they think, if it's demanding that they give everything they have to the cult leader or the cult's success, those are all indications that these are destructive kinds of cults. Now, experts would suggest that there are a number of traits that are consistent with destructive cults, and what I've seen, certainly the Love Has Won group fits within this same characteristic structure. Now, I'd like to encourage you, as you study the group, to look for ways in which you think coercive mind control was used, manipulation was used, how they forced the group into selling their products and working for the common good, which, you know, it's kind of interesting because when you think about mainstream religion, it's outward. Everything is outward about how do we lift the downtrodden and help. With cults, it's how do we raise up the cult leader. You're going to see how members sacrificed everything for the cult, and they walked away from what I believe was at one time their only support system. So here's what I want to pitch. Again, this cult leader, Mother God, ensured that everything was focused on her. Think about and write down below what your thoughts are about the information that's unfolding in this disturbing case. And you'll see my book, Deceived, on there. No Better Time. Deceived, an investigative memoir of the Zionist Society cult, outlines some of the characteristics and tactics that are employed by cults. Again, it explores my case from 30 years ago. You've seen it. You've heard me talk about it. But it is relevant with today's messaging that we're hearing from cases like Chad and Lori Daybell, or frankly, this wacky companion cult now, the Love Has Won cult. So please check it out. And if you didn't catch it, the proceeds from this thing are going to build a children's justice center and to help law enforcement be trained in how to investigate cases of child sexual abuse. It is an honor for my wife and me to direct the funds from this towards something like that. Well, let's take a minute since I've got you here, and let's just chat for a minute and see if there's anything that you have asked that maybe I can answer. So if you have asked a question earlier on, please ask it again. I'm going to try to look and see what's coming in right now. And to those of you who are writing in that you picked up the book, oh, thanks so much. I hope that it is a read that is meaningful to you in some way. So, and then if you didn't catch last night's show, we had Starsky from Starsky and Hutch on, so make sure you jump on and watch. We had a blast. We actually had the district attorney who is going to manage, and if charges are filed, be the charging agency in the Suzanne Morphew case. You also saw today I put up a look back on when Chris and I talked about Suzanne Morphew. And this week, I'm going to just continue to remind you folks of that woman and her case as we move to Mother's Day. And then hopefully on Mother's Day, everybody has a great day just thanking your own mom, or for those of you that are moms, thank you. So let's see here. Let's see. 12-Step Woman's wondering about the fingernails on the book look all disheveled and dirty. Absolutely. Now think about it. The book is about a man who proclaims that he is God, or at least a prophet of God. He was also a gardener. And so these dirty hands in a praying motion were very symbolic as we looked at it and decided to use that. So that explains why that's there. Dodie Redding, thanks. I'm glad you got a copy that was signed. Folks, you can get a signed copy at profilingevil.com. You pay a little more for the signed copy. Those that got them early on didn't. And or you can get the paperback and ebook, and we hope Audible in the next coming weeks, but paperback and ebook you can get right now at Amazon. But if you want the hardbound, which is, I think, a really nice book, really nice quality, you can, let's see, I'll get this off of here. You can get that on profilingevil.com, and if you want, I'll sign that for you. So let's see. Linda Whittick is asking if I've looked into Crystal Reisinger's case. I have not. There are so many cases. I'm sorry, Linda, I haven't. But if you want to put a lot of content into the evidence room, that usually makes it easier for us to pick something out and take advantage of that. This question, are there break-off cults of other denominations? Because there are all so many that seem to break off from the LDS. And it looks like Cambria Anderson is Latter-day Saint. You know what? I think might be more attuned to what neighborhood you're from or what area you're from. When I was running the ritual crime task force for the state of Utah, we thought the very same thing, that many of them were breakoffs from the Latter-day Saint faith. When I talked to my colleagues who were doing the exact same thing, ritual crime, in places like Chicago, they were all breakoffs of the Catholic Church. When I talked to people in the South, they were all breakoffs from the Baptist and Southern Baptist organizations. So it really becomes regionalized. And frankly, you think about it, it just makes sense. People that are raised in a religious setting, when they start to commit crime, especially if they try to do it in a ritual way or in a cult, they're going to reflect on what they know best, the way they were trained as a child. So it has a lot more to do with understanding where they come from than just pointing and saying it's a certain kind of religion or a certain faith tradition or something like that. So, don't I think the Morphews would be in a cult, Mary? You know what? I don't know. I haven't seen any evidence that would suggest that for me, but I'm not sure. Terry M., does Scientology continue to be the biggest, most profitable cult in the U.S. and the rest of the world? Man, Scientology is certainly doing a lot of things, and they have brought the attention on of a lot. There are somewhere around 5,000 to 6,000 cults operating all the time in the world. Many of them are small and kind of kept to a small group. Some really get a lot of attention like NXIVM or others. But and we'll continue to talk more about cults, especially as we move into the Chad and Lori Daybell trials. I'm going to spend more time talking about cults. I'm sure that I'll spend a little time talking about this particular cult that we're talking about today, Love Has Won, because again, they have some peculiarities. But the thing that I find, and again, if you purchase my book, you're going to see that there are characteristics that remain fairly consistent with cult behavior. It has a lot to do with the recruiting process, the method to maintain membership, to keep people hooked and staying in, and then, of course, the leader itself and the dynamics surrounding the leader. Well, I wanted to try to keep it to 15 minutes. We've gone almost 40, so I just want you all to know I really appreciate all your support. I hope that you're enjoying Profiling Evil and that you are finding value in what we try to do day in and day out. And keep watching for those releases. Today, again, we released a video on Suzanne Morphew. Tomorrow, a reminder, the podcast, please register for Profiling Evil podcasts on your favorite podcast platform so that you can get those podcasts as they're released. And this will be in preparation for Law Enforcement Week, an amazing case with amazing children survivors of a police officer who was murdered in the line of duty. And then we're going to have releases on Thursday. We'll have the Friday premiere and a release on Saturday on Morphew. And then Sunday, I'm going to spend the day with my wife, and I hope you'll all spend the day with your family and with your mothers. My mother, 91 years old, and don't know how many more years we'll have her hanging around, but it's a day for us to focus on our own families as much as we would like to focus on the heartache that others are experiencing. I hope you don't forget to take care of your own loved ones that surround you. So folks, thanks so much. Thanks for your financial support. Thanks for your emotional support. If you're not a channel member, consider it. We had over 150 people on last night that were participating with us. It only happens if you're a channel member, where you get to just talk one-on-one with me and spend some time exploring things that are important to you. And frankly, it helps us out immensely. So thanks for supporting us there, for supporting us on Patreon, to all of you who support on Patreon and through Venmo and PayPal. It just means the world. And for those of you that continue to pitch in and take care of my my Diet Dr. Pepper habit, I just can't thank you enough, because the guys in the back office love it. They might drink the straight kerosene stuff, but we all have a lot of fun with it. So thanks for all of your support, and go out and do something good for somebody today. Thanks again. Goodbye.